Hi guys, Mary Beth Temple here for Hooked for Life, and in this video we're going to take a look at the surface crochet chain stitch worked vertically. Now we have other videos on working it horizontally, and we have other videos on working the braided chain stitch, but this is the surface chain stitch worked vertically, and I'm going to show you two different ways in this video, so let me get right to the good stuff. But while I'm chit-chatting, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on anything I get my little brain around. Now, when we did the horizontal one, it was really easy to see the direction in which we were going because the tops of the stitches line up perfectly. When you're working vertically, and this is really sort of deep fabric diving here, but it is something that will help you when you're learning how to do this. When you have, for example, a piece of single crochet like I do here, the tops of the stitches do not line up perfectly vertically. They are ever so slightly offset. And that is the nature of the stitch because the front of a single crochet looks very different than the back of a single crochet, and so the width is different, and so they're not perfectly aligned bottom to top. So the first thing I want to say is make sure that you are not doing this really tightly, because if you are, it will accentuate the fact that you don't have a straight line. And then I'm also going to show you a way to get around this, but this is the most basic way to do it. You're going to put the slip knot on your hook. You're going to, you'll be at the place where you want that vertical line to go. And you're going to yarn over from back to front, and you're essentially making a slip knot. You're pulling it through the work and through the yarn all at the same time. So there is my first chain. It's laying on top of the work, and the working yarn is underneath. So much as we did for the horizontal one, we're going to keep heading up. But like I said, you just have to be aware that you don't go zigzagging off into the sunset, because it's really easy to do that. So there's the stitch I was in. Here's my next one up. I'm going to insert the hook from top to bottom, yarn over from back to front. There's no reason you have to turn the work over every time. I'm just doing it so you can see what I'm doing. Bring the yarn through, look for the next one. Now I'm not going to keep heading to my right, or else I'm going to go off in that direction. Now I'm going just ever so slightly this way. Yarn over back to front. Basically, you're making a chain stitch. Now I'm going ever so slightly to the right. And there is my chain stitch. So like I said, as I'm moving forward, I don't have to turn that work over every time. I can feel where my yarn is. So to check yourself, you want to make sure you're the same width from either the edge of the piece or the other row of stitching or whatever else you did. Give yourself a marker, because again, vertically, it's really tempting to sort of head off to the port or the starboard. The other thing I will also say is if you make a mistake, it's really easy to rip out, much like a chain stitch. Take your hook out and pull, and it will come right out. Now, I didn't have too much trouble with this, keeping it nice and straight, because I'm using bulky yarn, and I was very careful about my gauge. But another thing you can do, particularly if you are designing your own project, if you know where you want that vertical line of surface crochet to be, what I do sometimes is when I'm stitching my piece, I put a chain one in there instead of a stitch. So when I'm doing my chain stitch, I know that I'm only going in the chain one space. It's really super fast that way. I know exactly where I'm going. So for example, I know there was a pillow in the Perfect Pillow book that I did for Leisure Arts. I've used this technique in a bunch of projects, but if I know that that's where that's going to be, then I will put the single crochets, the chain one spaces in while I'm stitching the base fabric. And then, boy, I don't even have to think when I'm stitching. I don't have to guess if I'm headed in the right direction. And again, just using that pillow as an example, because in that case I didn't want the surface crochet to go all the way to the top. They're stems of a flower. It was also easy to know that once my chain one spaces had ended, that was where I was supposed to end the piece. This is a little more elastic too. And again, if you're using a lighter weight yarn, then I really recommend the chain one space technique, because it makes it's just neater. It makes it look nicer. In both instances, when I'm ready to end off, I'm just going to cut. I'm going to pull the cut end to the front. I'm going to send it back down in the same hole that it just came out of. And then it will not unravel. And then in that case, I just put it on a tapestry needle and weave in my end. And in both cases, this is what it looks like on the back. You get that nice straight line. So thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Let me know if there's anything else you're looking for. And remember, this is one of a series of surface crochet videos. So if this one was not the one you were looking for, keep clicking. I'm sure I have it. Anyway, have a great day, you guys. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.